financial / networking workshop that Anna from ALPFA is actually going to cover and do a presentation on. So she'll talk more about herself, but how it's going to go is she's going to present on both topics and then just see where you're at in terms of what you're thinking, any questions as she goes along. And don't be afraid to ask like questions about yourself, what you're comfortable with, but also be brave and ask things that, you just want to know in terms of finance and networking. As you all know, we have an event tomorrow. So everyone, I hope, is getting the hang of, I'm getting the hang of it now, signing in, signing out every single time. I told you all during the orientation, right? And we try to remind you, but sometimes when you got to get to class, we forget or I forget to remind you because of the program that's happening and whatnot, trying to cover that. But make sure if you have to leave early to still sign out, right? And tomorrow we have what event? We have our alumni, alumni guest speaker who has an LMFT license in marriage, family therapy. How many of you all were doing another call to action for our call to action? Did you all get those yellow sheets and have been turning in when you can to advocate for our grant renewal, right? Anything else? Logistics are covered, and then let's give a round of applause to Anna.
Yay! Thank you, ladies. Well, first of all, like I said, I'm really, really happy to have a room full of ladies because obviously we need support. And what I'm going to talk to you about is basically a little bit of ways for you to save money. I know the focus last time was to give you a piece of paper and for you to learn how to budget. And most of you might be still under your parents' roof, or maybe you're working on your own and you're paying for your own bills. I mean, it's kind of hard to be able to find out what everyone's situation is. But basically, I would just cut this straight to the point. If you're getting financial aid and you're under your parents' roof, I mean, if you can, milk it as you can, honestly. I mean, in my situation, I lost my dad when I was 8, and I lost my mom when I was 14. So I had to basically pay everything on my own since I was basically right at high school or during high school time. So I didn't go to school right away because I had to basically pay for my stuff. You can say I became like a teen mom because I have a younger sister. So when my mom died, I had to become basically my sister's mom. And just to make the story short, thankfully she got married. And I said, please take her, don't bring her back. She's non-returnable. And I felt like this big weight off my shoulders for me to be able, I guess, to pursue what I wanted to do, which was education. But I didn't have the means. When I was working back then, I was working illegally. I had no documents to work. Eventually, I was able to become legal. So I'm a U.S. citizen now. Yay. And I can, of course, pay my taxes and all that. So it comes with a price. You have to pay taxes. And nothing's for free. And thankfully, I just ran into the right people at the right time. And I was able to enroll myself in school. And I was working full time. And I was not going anywhere with that. Going to school in the evenings, working Monday through Friday. So it was tough. Thankfully, I ran into somebody at school and say, hey, why are you working so much? Did you know that you can get loans? And I know I did not know that. I mean, I'm the first one in my family to go to school to begin with, and I have no parents to ask for advice. So honestly, the people that gave me advice will say people on the streets, people, my peers, my friends. And one friend told me, he's like, no, I'm here on loans. You can get loans. And, you can get loans. I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, but I don't want to be in debt. I want to graduate debt free. Yeah, but just get a small loan for now. That way you can get settled. And then you can get better grades because GPA is a big deal nowadays. It's very competitive. Especially, I don't know that much about your department, but for the business department, it's very, very competitive. If you don't have a high GPA, I mean, it's going to be tough out there. So my friend basically gave me the right advice, and he said, look, if you need to get some loans, do it. If you need to sell your house, or, I mean, I don't have a house, but if you need to sell your clothes, you need to do eBay, do whatever you can to try to get yourself more in school and try to work less. Of course, I didn't listen. And I said, no, how am I going to do that? I need to pay my cell phone. I need to pay my car bill. How am I going to do that? I need to pay my rent. So I didn't listen. I did bad. I did really bad in school. And I was basically just getting by with C's and sometimes barely a B minus, And I was just not getting really I was paying for an education, but I wasn't really getting the return. My focus wasn't there. My focus was more to have a house under my head, to have a car to move around, and pay for food and stuff like that. But thankfully, eventually I realized that look, I really need to focus on school. So I ended up getting a loan to begin with. Later on, I applied for financial aid because I obviously work less hours, so you can qualify with that. I did not know that either. So I was like, okay, why should I start from that, And so it's funny, but a lot of times we don't listen to the people that they want to help you. I have, you can say, friends that were there for me, and I guess they noticed, that I was really studying a lot, but I wasn't really getting the grades that I wanted to get, and I was just getting frustrated. And there will be times when I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna do this anymore. I'm just gonna quit. And I'm a really hardworking person, so I can work at an office and do some accounting, and I have experience. So I was making, I don't know, let's throw a number, $50,000 a year without a degree. But things are changing now, and technology is just becoming right. It's making everything shrinking with technology. Things are getting more, jobs are getting right. They're getting, I would say, labor jobs are getting more cut down. They really want you to have like that technology aspect. For us, business students, for example, as soon as you graduate, they want you to be an expert in Excel, an expert in PowerPoint, and even if you can do some coding on the top. I'm like, but I'm not even a computer science major, but they want you to do some coding. So it's getting really, really, right, competitive. And for you guys, I'm sure there's other things that you can do on the side on top of your degree. So with that being said, have you heard of this website that I'm going to show you called oc.org? No? So this website, basically, if you write it down, it's 211oc.org. This website has saved my life for many, many things. I've been able to get free gas, free clothes, free food. I literally almost got free showers and free laundry. So they're really, really helpful. And you can basically hear the resources on the bottom of what they provide. For your major, for example, a lot of times in the business department, a lot of times our internships are paid for. I would say most of the time, 90% of the time. I kind of hear that for different colleges, it's not the case. So if your situation is the case that normally they don't pay you for your internship, this will be a good place for you to also reach out and say, look, I'm in disorders, or I'm human services or human development. Because these people can also connect you with internships as well. So this website, like I said, I remember I got my DMV renewal notice, and I didn't have the money. So I went to Bales, and they connect me to an agency that helps you with that. I shared this link with a friend of mine, and my friend said, well, I feel terrible doing that because I'm not homeless. I'm not like completely broke. But I'm like, are you going to wait until you actually don't have $1 in your pocket to ask for help? I'm like, you're already a student. You're already working hard. This is free services. You don't have to like apply through a rigorous process of you like food stamps. It's nothing like that. It's completely different. So these are organizations that they got together, and they basically, like saying, are you familiar with like Mary's Kitchen? Or how about the food bank? A food bank, you go in, right, and you collect cans of food, or same thing. They got all that information and they put it on a website. So I wanted to share that with you. I think it's really, really nice. Do you know the resources that the Women's Center provides? So I had to do an improv the other day. And the improv was talk about your closet. And I was like, wow, this is a tough one. So I did the improv about my closet. And I said, well, when I look at my closet, I get really sad because everything that is in there is like either torn, old, or just out of style. And I look at it and it seems like I'm looking at a Goodwill store. But that's the price right now that I'm paying for the education. And then when I share that, one of my you could say audience, they said, oh, did you know that we have a Tuffy's corner here at school? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, the women's center, they have Tuffy's closet. And they have a lot of like professional attire that you can go and grab. It's located in room UH205, the women's center. I went there and I got this. I mean, I think it looks pretty decent. So, and it's for free. So are we going in the right direction with like free stuff, or you want to know more about budgeting? Sometimes I feel like budgeting could be a little boring. I mean, I'm an accounting major, but I still feel like budgeting. But for you that want to know a little bit about budgeting, you can easily find it online. There's a lot of Excel documents online. You can search how to budget Excel, and you'll get a document in Excel. You put your information, and basically we'll do it for you. Like every month, how much money you can allocate for gas, how much money you can allocate for food. It will literally do it for you. There's a lot of things out there if you Google search. So that's why I didn't really want to emphasize on that, because obviously we're going to be doing, otherwise I'll have you do information, and I don't think you want to do that. But are we in the right direction, or you want to do more the Excel? What do you feel like? Are we okay so far? Yeah? Okay. So we'll continue with the resources. So I heard about the Tuffy's Corner. I thought that was great. And then I was like, okay, well, what else can I get out of this? It seems like I'm getting a lot of things for free, you know? And yeah, so one of my friends, because I'm always about study buddies. I love to study with somebody. And right now I'm studying with two nurses, or two potential nurses. And I'm accounting, they're studying nursing. But I like how we can study together, because I can get up and go to the bathroom, you're right? I don't have to pick up all my stuff. We girls come with like, we're moving into the library. And guys, they just like bring their laptop and that's it. And we bring a blanket, we bring like snacks, we're prepared basically. I mean, honestly, we're a better breed. I'm sorry, but we are. And guys, they're 2 hours, they leave because they're already hungry. But we don't. I mean, we can prepare. That's what we're gonna be awesome. And I'm sorry for them, but no. So going back to the story with that, so I met these nurses because my study buddy canceled on me, and I reserved the room. I'll show you how to reserve rooms too. That's another way that you can get something extra for free. So I reserved the room, and there were these two girls sitting there, and they looked like they already were settled and everything. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm like, oh, I have the room reserved, They're like, oh, please, but don't kick us out. We're from Fullerton College. We don't even come here, but we study together all the time. I'm like, well, what do you study? She said, oh, nursing. Are you going to be here all day? Yeah. Oh, well, perfect. I need to be here all day too. So we team up, and we were there all day, and now we talk to each other whenever we need to study together. So it's pretty cool, because they come and they bring food, or I reserve the room. So we're both getting the benefit out of it, right? And that's the one thing that I learned. Just also another way that you can also, I guess, milk your resources as CSUF. Did you know how you can reserve rooms here, and you can be here for an entire day in the same room? No? Do you want to learn? No? Not interested? Yeah? Okay. So if you go to the Fullerton main page, there's something for free. You're supposed to only get one room reservation per week. This is not the one that you go to the Genius Corner and and they give you like the access where they have a little. Have you ever reserved those rooms? I don't know. But this one, you basically just show up and that's it. So sorry, I'm gonna search CSUF study room reservation, and study spaces right there. And these are the rooms that they're located in the 3rd floor and the 4th floor. So if you scroll down, you're going to see where it says make a room reservation. You need 2 campus-wide IDs. And this is where you basically use your friends as much as you can. let's say I need to really study alone for an hour or two, but I talk to a friend. I'm like, hey, can I borrow your C-Wave? Oh, sure. So I have a friend who let me use the C-Wave for everything. And of course, this person gets an email whenever I make a reservation, so I'm not doing funny things with it, So he does. And he's like, oh, I know you booked a room. So you log in, and this is basically the reservations. I already have one for today at 4 p.m. So when you go in this location, the nice thing about this is that you can reserve a room for 3 hours. And you're supposed to only reserve it for 3 hours, okay? But what people don't know is that you can reserve it for another 3 hours and another 3 hours back to back. That means you have already 9 hours. You might have a different room number assigned, but when someone comes to the room that I'm in, and I'm gonna be here all 9 hours, but somebody comes and say, oh, I have a reserve, you're, oh, okay, well, where's your room reserved? Oh, the room next door. Oh, can I stay here? That way I don't get up. Like the same room next door, I was supposed to be there, but I'm already parked here. They understand. They're like, oh, okay, it's the same room, no problem. I just want my room. So you get the idea? And I don't get up anymore. I'm already settled with my blankie and everything, my heater if I'm cold. And I literally just need to bring a microwave and I'm all set. So it works great. So 3 hours. Now you're thinking 9 hours, but how you can book it for the entire day. So let's say you book it from 1 p.m. to 3 o'clock, right? 3 hours. Then at 2 o'clock, what I do, I cancel the reservation. So it disappears from the system. And then what you can do, you can reserve for the other 9 hour to 11th hour. Does that make sense? So you reserve right now from 1 to 9 p.m., right? 3, 3, 3. Now you want to reserve from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Cancel the one at 1 p.m. that you reserved. Cancel it in the middle of your session. But anytime between 1 and 3. Cancel it. It disappears from the system. And then you can reserve your next reservation at 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And you can do the whole thing all over. How did I figure this out? One of my roommates, she's from India. And one thing that I always talk about with her, I'm like, well, what is like in India, I mean, because she's very determined and studious, and she doesn't, she looks like she doesn't kill a fly, I swear. She's pretty mousy. And one day we were just talking, about technology, and then she's like, I'm like, do you guys have a lot of rules in your country? Because here everything's a rule. And she's like, no, in India, rules are meant to be broken. That's what she says. I'm like, yeah. She's like, here we behave, but back home, we love hacking. That's part of our thing. We create apps. Whenever there's a system in place, we're always trying to break the system. She's like, did you know that your system for the book group, and she's like, do you know the system for the booking room is basically, it has no internal controls? That's what she said. I'm like, oh, well, how did you figure that out? She's like, oh, because my friends, we booked this room for 24 hours and we're there in the library for an entire week during finals. I'm like, how do you do that? And that's basically how she told me how she do it. So I'm like, So that's what I did last semester. I got a room for an entire week. Just reserved. Of course, I was not there the entire week, but I got my, let's say my minions or my workers with me. And we were a group of 4 people. We were there in the morning studying. And then at nighttime, we had the engineers come and they took over the room at nighttime. And then some people came and studied at night owl. Some people like to study between 2 and 8 a.m. And then we tell them to play that game. Hey, if you're there, cancel. So you get the idea, right? So that's one thing that you can do for free until they figure out the system. But hey, if they don't figure it out, you're here to use it. And you know what? And you're not doing nothing wrong because you're actually studying. Yeah. It's not like you're partying in there. You're studying. You're trying to be focused. Sometimes at home it's difficult. I don't know if you live with your family or not, but recently I moved in with my sister. She has 2 little ones. So obviously the house is not quiet. And I don't need to study super silent. But when there's a little bit more of a noiser background, sometimes you get distracted. You can't study. So I have to wait sometimes until 10 p.m. to study. But then when I figured this out, I was like, here's the answer. So that's one thing too. Some people like to study at home. That's great. But I'm going to talk a little bit now about changing topics on how you can study on campus really benefits you, because that's how you start your networking. People that you team up with, they see, oh, you know what, I trust this girl because I see her studying all the time. Or you know what, I really like her because she's always volunteering. So that's how you end up connecting with your people, especially if you're a first generation student. But if you're not, let's say your parents already graduated, you know, maybe some of your parents already went to college, or your aunt, or more likely you know somebody that more likely once you graduate, they're gonna hook you up with a job. Okay, more likely you're set. But what happens if that person is not available anymore? What happens if that person dies? What if that person gets ill? Doesn't work there anymore? Basically, you don't have that connection anymore. So you need to think about plan B, plan C, in case that person's not there anymore. And that kind of happened to me. Part of my idea was to go to school, was to give back to the company that I was working for. I felt like, oh, I'm already set, you know, I'm making decent money. Don't need to really get a degree. Why? If I can literally buy a house with the money I'm making. But thankfully, you meet the right people at the right time. I got encouraged to go to school. Next thing you know, 2 years around the line, the company gets sold. They transfer the company somewhere else. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm glad I went to school, because otherwise I'll be jobless. And things are changing, you know. They want you to be rotating jobs nowadays, like 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years, because they want you, I guess, to learn from different companies. I'm sure for your profession, it's going to be the same thing. Maybe they want you to start a clinic, and then they want you to be at a hospital, and then maybe they want you to be at an agency. I mean, depends on where. Maybe eventually they want you to teach. Who knows? But that's the one thing I wanted to show you with the rooms. You know how we're always hungry too? Because obviously you study, your brain uses that fuel, you're always hungry. And during midterms or finals, right, you get stressed out and you eat more. I'm not even a sweet person. I don't like chocolate, but when I'm in finals, I eat chocolate. And that's because, you know, I'm stressed, you know. So did you guys know about this Titan app for the bites, Titan bites? No? No? So there's an app called, of course, I'm sure my Indian friends, they made it. These people, I swear. It's called Titan Bites. BITES. And basically they focus on, let's say they have an event at the TSU, a huge event, and they have leftover food. I'm talking about decent food, like pasta, chicken. I mean, they're not gonna go cheap on that. For us, they give you pizza, you know, but for the professionals that come to TSU, they give them good food. So when there's leftovers, they put it on the Titan app, and they'll let you know where it's located. So you can go to the Women's Center, there might be a tray there. You can go to the Graduate Center, located in the library, it might be food there. So you can always check out this app. And since I've known all these resources, I don't think I buy lunch every once in a blue moon. Literally, once in a blue moon. Because a lot of times I find food through the app, or that's another thing too that I'm going to tell you guys, how to save money, I know, is with my school of business, they're always doing like career fairs or workshops, speaker meetings, and if they need volunteers, I'm always like, because listen to this, if there's professionals involved, they want to feed the professionals. And if I'm helping, of course, I'm going to get a bite out of that. Okay? I mean, my time, I'm volunteering, but my time is money too, you know, and I'm hungry. So I'm going to look all for the resources that I can. And if your school of business does things like that, try to also find out from maybe here or maybe through your professors, because they're also getting involved in other things. They're not just teaching. They're also doing other extracurriculums. I usually talk to one of my professors who, they call him the dinosaur because he's literally a dinosaur. I don't know why he still teaches, because this guy's ready to retire. And he doesn't do anything. He doesn't really teach. He doesn't, you know, but he has, I guess, his minions that they do speaker meetings for him. They set up panelists. They do workshops, and he's literally just like managing the orchestra, I guess. Or, the orchestra. He's just telling people what to do. But I kind of tag along with him because, one, I eat for free, remember, and two, I kind of get brownie points because he's kind of seeing me around. The more they see you. I mean, I'm also working for my grade. Remember, I had a really rough time in the beginning, and my GPA wasn't that great. So I had to basically recover from the grade. And the only way that I was able to do it was basically really getting on their face, basically. And one thing that I realized also that it's something free is most of you probably have office hours, right? Yeah. And most people don't use them. Most people don't use them because a lot of times you're like, why am I going to go? I mean, I'm going to read the material at home. I'm going to understand it. Hey, if you're doing great in your classes, maybe I'm boring you with this. But if you're kind of struggling, this will be good. So when I enroll for a class, I don't know what class you normally enroll for, an English class, right? Or you already went through all that, so I don't know, maybe human development or something like that. So usually I would look for professors. I would look for professors that they're full-time. Why full-time? Because they're going to have a class at 8 in the morning. They're going to have a class Monday at 8 in the morning, Wednesday at 2:30, or maybe Thursday at 4 o'clock, right? So the way I do it, I enrolled for the 8:30 class, but I don't really show up for the 8:30. I show up for the 2:30. I negotiate this with my professor, usually by the second or third class. No, I don't do it right away without, like, hey, I'm enrolling at 8:30, I'm going to be at 2:30. And then they'll be like, wait, what's going on, right? So normally the way I do it, and why do I do this? I'll tell you why. So I'm doing this because I'm trying to spread out my finals. I don't want to have 2 finals the same day. But if you do this, your professor might be willing to have you take your final at another day. You get the idea now? I never take 2 finals in one day. One, because I'm kind of old already, so I cannot take it. For me, it would be too much. So I'm not in my 20s, but I'm not in my 40s either, okay? So just to let you know. So, but, it takes a little bit more effort for me to get something, where when I was in my 20s, I was able to read a chapter and I'll get it right down, Now it would probably take me an extra hour or 2. So when I do this with the professor, I tell him, look, I'm very involved on campus. I work on campus. And I'm doing this workshop and I'm doing that. So I'm going to be at a mixer till 10 p.m. Would it be okay if I show up to your 2:30 p.m.? And maybe periodically, kind of toss it like that. And they're like, oh, you're involved. Well, what do you do? And then I ask kind of Hannah, well, what else are you involved with? And then I kind of pick their brain too. Like, oh, I'm involved in this. I'm like, oh, I didn't know there was something like that. And that's kind of how you start the conversation. I really don't go there to talk about the lectures. I get more about negotiating my time when, 1, I'm going to take my final, and 2, if I can come to your class basically whenever I want to. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm a big negotiator. That's the one thing that you learn about business too. I'm a big negotiator. So he's like, sure, come to the 2:30 p.m., no problem. And then I end up taking the final on Thursday at 4 p.m. And if I feel like that week, I had a really good night rest, I show up at the 8:30, sure, and then I'm over it, right? But if I don't, I do it upon how I feel my week is gonna go. That's something a lot of students don't know they can do that. Now, another situation, how you can milk your office hours for free is the professor who's working full-time and they have 4 classes, right? They're gonna have more office hours available. There was one class that I honestly was like literally dying. I had no idea what I was going to be doing. And I was ready to switch my major, like this close. And one friend told me, just go to his office hours. It's like you get a private tutor. I'm like, really? But that's why I go to class. And with him, you have to go with your notebook. You have to really walk you through it individually, one-on-one. And then you'll get it. He's good at doing that, my friend told me. Oh, I didn't know that. But he only has 1 hour, office hours with our class. And she's like, but he has other 4 classes. Just go to all of those office hours. I'm like, can I do that? Of course, nobody uses him. That's what she said. So she was teaching me something too. Oh, okay, well, let's do that. So then I'm going to all the office hours during that week. And literally I was getting a one-on-one tutoring. Of course, you read the chapter 1 time or 2, and there are things that you just don't get, right? Sometimes you just like, oh, I need some clarification. Or how am I gonna respond to the question when I get the final or the midterm? Because sometimes you read something, but then they throw you this whole different question on the exam, and you're like, where was this? So that's how you can milk it for free. So now I'm gonna talk about, do you wanna learn more about free stuff or more networking so that we can make it short? I don't wanna bore you guys, you know. What do you guys want, networking or free money?
I like free stuff.
Free stuff, okay, all right. So 2-in-1 is definitely the organization that I talked to you about. I told you about the application, the app called Titan Bytes. You can get it for free. Do you work on campus? I think I've seen you before, yeah. Where do you work on campus?
The Children's Center.
Oh, okay, cool. So I work on campus too. And like I said, I'm a business and accounting and finance major. And I started working for DSS.
Because I utilize DSS services.
There, really, I saw you there. See? Well, it's supposed to be confidential, but you already told yourself, so yeah, that's your fault. I'm just kidding.
It's my choice. I want to reveal that.
Yeah, of course, I know. I can't say, you know. So I got hired for DSS, and nothing to do with accounting, right? Most people that they want in DSS is people in your field, because they want people. But then I told them, you know what? Someone referred me to work there, and they told me about all the free stuff that I can get with DSS, which I had no idea about. Free printing, priority registration, Scantrons, basically a lot of free stuff. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, you know? So a lot of times working on campus, it does have its perks. You just have to know like where. And it doesn't matter if your major is not history, but if they have a position there, I'll get to you why it may not be a bad idea too. Because people nowadays, they rotate. They rotate a lot. So with DSS, eventually, my friends make fun of this because I'm going to give you an example, but it's not like I'm making fun of the people, okay? I'm just giving you an example. You know, DSS has disabilities, or some people have no hand, or right? So you can say one day I tell my friend, I'm like, yo, I got fired. She's like, what happened? She's like, I told you you're a business person. What are you doing in DSS? Sorry, you know, but let me tell you what happened. I think I got fired, but I'm not really sure because I have a job tomorrow. So then I really get fired. She's like, you got transferred. I'm like, okay, where? So I started working for the athletics department. I'm not playing any sports either. But what happened is that they needed a tutor there for finance and accounting. So I guess the tutor, they needed a tutor in the athletics department. They talked to the DSS director, and they were having lunch. And next thing you know, oh, how's it going? Great. Well, we need tutors in the athletics department. And the DSS person says, well, I know one, but I'm gonna have to let her go. But then you need to give me another person. So we kind of swap. I guess I got fired, but then I got rehired. So my friend, when I told him about it, my friend, she was like, oh, Anna, you know, you're improving. You know, what do you mean? She said, well, before, you know, you had to work with someone with no eye or no arm. Now you get like this whole body, you know, a sport person, right? And she was right. I mean, my first student, he was like 6 feet something, you know, football player. Now he's doing soccer. I'm like, oh, wow. Hi. So it's like, oh, I didn't know I was going to get that in return. But so people, they talk to each other, and then you can rotate to something that I'm doing now, tutoring for something that I'm studying. And I didn't even know I was going to get there. Story short with that too, you know how the Fullerton campus, they also have an urban campus, right? Urban campus. So I go there too, because they always have a lot of free stuff, by the way. They always have free snacks. They have one cool thing about them is that you can literally study there and leave your stuff and nothing will happen to it. I don't know what's going on with that